Blizzard is constantly screwing over fans and doing the exact opposite of what we want, and the most recent Overwatch 2 update has left gamers pretty underwhelmed, seeing as we got an hour and a half worth of content for $15, no new heroes or maps, and the game finally released on Steam to a major review bomb, but now it is one of the lowest rated games on the platform ever. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and to the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So this article says Overwatch 2 is the lowest rated Steam game of all time with 87,000 reviews counted so far, and this number has only gotten drastically worse for Blizzard. Now it's really no surprise to see Overwatch players revolting against this update, and the way that Blizzard thought that they could milk money out of us, because I understand at the end of the day every company needs to make money, and I am someone who is more than willing to pay money for content if it is good content. I just wish that we would go back to the model of releasing games and having a $20 DLC, but have it be some massive update with a ton of new areas, new story missions, content. But with a game like this, it would be a little different. But if I'm going to pay $15, I want a couple of hours of story missions, a new hero, maybe a special skin to go with it. And unfortunately, they just did the least amount of effort possible, which isn't surprising when it comes to Blizzard and Overwatch 2. But it is still sad. It says that Overwatch 2 is now the lowest rated Steam game of all time, having amassed over 87,000 negative reviews 2 days into its debut on Valve's digital storefront. It was already cracking the top 10 worst rated games on Steam within 24 hours of its release, and this has actually only gotten worse since this article is a couple of hours old. It is now at overwhelmingly negative still, 103,000 reviews in only the span of a few hours has these extra reviews been added. It is not looking good for this game. I mean, we are now 3 days into its Steam debut, and having over 103,000 reviews and then being overwhelmingly negative definitely does scream, hey Blizzard, there's a problem here. Why don't you reevaluate your content, reevaluate your strategy, and actually try to start listening to the player base, because they have a good game here, right? I played so much Overwatch 1, and when Overwatch 2 released, I played it as well because I think that Overwatch is so fun. It has some balancing problems, but what competitive game doesn't? It has such a wide variety of heroes and skills and cool costumes, and it is just a very smooth gameplay experience. I mean, it is a solid title, but it's just a shame that we see them mess it up so freaking often, especially going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. Years ago, they said it was going to be story-based, and it was going to be, adding that extra content that people really wanted, and then Overwatch 2 released, and it launched with, one hero, 1 or 2 extra maps, and that was it, and no story content. And then they said they were scrapping story completely until they had announced this, $15 PvE invasion story mission set, and it's not worth $15. I looked up the average play time, and most people are completing it in under 2 hours. That is just not worth it or acceptable, in my opinion, especially when you're getting nothing else with it. But as you can see, players are furious. Heading back to this article, though, it says Blizzard's decision to bring Overwatch 2 to Steam took many fans by surprise, not least because the company's PC catalog has been exclusively beholden to its Battle.net platform for many a year. The gaming giant described the move as a sign of things to come, vowing that more of its PC games will be coming to Steam in the future. I personally don't think that this is a bad thing, but this is not the reason why the game is getting review bombed on Steam. Most people actually agree with this. As I always say, the more platforms means the more people that can play it, the better. It says, though, it would appear that a vocal portion of Valve's user base might not be holding its breath for that to happen, as Overwatch 2 only took some 48 hours to become the lowest rated game ever released on Steam. I am sure that in the next couple of weeks, it's going to balance out a little bit more. I don't think that it's going to stay at an overwhelmingly negative. But maybe it will. I mean, people definitely like to surprise us when it comes to the internet. But I think that right now, the people that are rating it are just people who are upset with a lot of the changes and a lot of the decisions that they've made. It says, a notable portion of the ongoing review bombing effort can seemingly be attributed to fan activism against Blizzard's decision to charge a full price for the original Overwatch, only to eventually replace it with an aggressively monetized free-to-play experience that is Overwatch 2. Yeah, this is a major reason why people are upset with them when it comes to Overwatch. You had the original game, which was a full-price title years ago, and then they slowly began phasing it out, and they promised us Overwatch 2 would not replace the original game, and what do you know? Out with the old, in with the new. They got rid of the original Overwatch. You can't actually access those servers anymore or play that game anymore. It's just so disappointing that they make so many promises that they probably never intended to keep. They probably knew that they were gonna go to this free-to-play model eventually, that Overwatch 1 would be a thing of the past, it would not be accessible, and yet they still continue to promise us things are not gonna change. You're gonna be able to play Overwatch 1 still, even though there really was never a point, because they never did anything special or different or new or unique with Overwatch 2. It says, it's unclear if this turn of events could affect Blizzard's plan to bring more of its games to Valve's storefront. I think they were probably expecting quite a bit of backlash to this. Maybe not this much, but headed on over to the Steam store now. I'm just going to read a few reviews because people are saying things. Oh, I read this one in my previous video about Overwatch. The people who make Overwatch porn work harder than the people who make Overwatch. I think that that is an absolutely hilarious comment. Big mistake coming to Steam. Now you have the whole community critiquing your game accurately for all Steam users to see. People are saying this game has been review bombed, and I've seen backlash from others now saying how it's unfair. Let me tell you firsthand, no, it is not. In my opinion, this is more than deserved for what Blizzard has done. As someone who has played hundreds of hours of both Overwatch 1 and 2, I have a good idea of what's going on. Overwatch 1 looked back fondly from fans across all genres of games. Although it had points of low interest, nobody can disagree that a large part of its lifespan it was beloved and popular. And this is true. I mean, you talk about Overwatch 1 and people generally are pretty positive about it, but it says Overwatch 2 under-delivered on basically every front. Let me list some examples. Now, this is a very long list, so we can't read all of them, but here's just a few. The new game mode pushed the robot and Flashpoint, generally detested by the community. The matchmaking is clunky as ever, prioritize getting into games faster over game quality. It says they didn't even bother to change the training room from Overwatch 1. That is just a very small change that probably would have taken someone, I don't know how long, maybe a couple of weeks to design, to build, to test, to flesh out. They couldn't even put that effort into Overwatch 2. The scummy free-to-play model they use, constantly shoving the battle pass down your throat. It costs, $20 to buy a legendary skin. Most maps weren't even changed from Overwatch 1. I mean, as you can see, these are just a handful of things that people are upset with. I'm not surprised to see that Blizzard is getting absolutely destroyed by their player base at this point, and honestly, they deserve it. When they put in the minimum amount of effort into their titles, they do get criticized for it, and that is definitely deserved. It's sad to see that Overwatch 2 launched, it came, it went. A lot of people just kind of hate it at this point because we are so mad at Blizzard, but it is hilarious to see this happen, and now Overwatch 2 is the lowest rated Steam game of all time, with now over 100,000 reviews counted so far. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.